All right, everybody, we are back again with another episode of Life After Ball or Life After Being an Athlete, even though some people in here are still athletes. It's your boy, Coach Coop. I've got Tara with me, and I've got a push athlete, one of the top female push athletes in the United States of America, Jasmine Jones, with us here today. Now, remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment button down below so you can continue to have this thing bring on cool guests from all over the world. So I know I said push athlete, and to a lot of people out there, they have no clue what that means. And I'm going to be honest with you. Before I met Tara, I had no clue what that meant either. So, Jasmine, what exactly is a push athlete?
My goodness. A push athlete, I would say, is someone that can be fast, strong, be able to be dependable, reliable for whatever can come in their way, um, and prepared.
So, you go from track in college to bobsled. How does that even happen, and what got you into it?
So my senior year in 2018, where I was finishing up, I originally wanted to go pro in track. I wanted to look for an agent. I was ready to sign over to somebody to make that my dream. And I got reached out by Alana Myers-Taylor. She reached out on the email as well as a previous coach to come out and try out for the team. I figured this was something different, never heard of it, thought it was a spam, essentially. And from there, I was able to go in. I know it's crazy. I just thought, like, this isn't real. What even is bobsled? But I definitely went and took a chance.
Cool
and
at the time?
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't hear you.
You hadn't seen Cool Runnings at the time to know that bobsledding was a real thing?
It's a movie.
I can't hear.
Oh, the technology cutting out for her. Can you hear me, Jasmine?
I can't hear anything.
You know, up there in Lake Placid, they didn't really have the best connection and stuff. Yeah, it was in the middle of nowhere. That's why.
It's like where I am, middle of nowhere.
But at least you're in Calgary. You're in the city. Like Lake Placid was.
Was it?
Out there? Yeah, it was. We flew into Albany, and it's probably a 2-hour shuttle ride. Can you hear us now, Jasmine? No, she still can't hear. But yes, it was like a 2-hour shuttle ride to Lake Placid to where the Olympic Center was. And in that village was a total of 2,000 people.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear us now, Jasmine?
I think so. I don't know what was going on my end. Everything was just being...
It's that technology, you know. It's tricky for everybody. Tara had a little bit of troubles at the beginning, too, so it's all good.
Yeah, old woman problems.
But the difference is that Jasmine's not old yet, so...
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Tara. You're not old either.
No, I am. I totally own it. I'm old. I get it. I used to make fun of people like me.
Yeah, and then look at us now.
I know.
See, look at her. Like, her camera's already cut out. She's done turned the mic off. She has no clue what's going on. But I know we're gonna eventually talk about it, and as we continue to record, we'll...
Are you back, Jasmine? It's in the middle of nowhere, and I'm based in Calgary, in Canada, and so at least we've got like a city around us and stuff. You've been here before, Jasmine, right? The Ice House, and yeah.
I've been in Calgary back in 2019, where I tried to do the race race. I had a race once, and I lost. I was still there to my dog, essentially, to be there to support my teammates. Then later on that following year, 2019, I made my national team. We had a team there. I was able to experience a better headspace and being able to do more of a better athlete.
Yeah, I remember our push competition. I remember that. I was there. I saw you.
What? Such a small world.
Yeah, I saw you. I was there, yeah.
But we were talking about transitioning from track into bobsledding, and I know you said that you thought it was spam. Had you never seen Cool Runnings before?
I've seen it so long ago. I was just like, this can't be real. I think it was like a Disney movie or just that struggle movie, but anything like that.
Yeah. What was it like though back in 2018? Were the tryouts any different than what they are now? Because I know there's a whole different scheme of things of how they try out athletes, where it comes down to like now you can do stuff online or go in person to try out. Is it still the same?
Everything's so much different now. So before I was going to do a combine in person in Park City, but I was able to skip that and go directly to Repeat Camp, where I did my combine and everything there in person. So they had everything from the rookie camp to the veteran camps directly at the first house. That's only where I went. No ice house.
And so it's almost been 10 years now. What has been some of the ups and downs with being part of bobsledding and kind of learning the sport? I mean, because you've dealt with a lot throughout the whole process. How's it been?
Well, dealing with ups and downs, I would say it's a mix of not getting races, dealing with your own mental health, making sure that you're not injured, having certain different injuries to kind of maneuver that with like different people who aren't injured, who are healthy. So it's definitely a roller coaster in navigating through that compared to when I came out of baseball in 2023 and compared to that. And now I feel like I have a much better foundation in a true off season compared to when I never had it before.
Never had an off season?
Mm-hmm. I did.
It's crazy.
Oh,
but I know we also talked about, as you continue to age as an athlete, right, what it was like to kind of go through now, like a true off season. And then also on top of that, your mother, right? So the body has changed. What has been different in your training program now compared to, I'm 33, so I know at 18 there was a lot more things that I could do without the full warm up and everything. But now thinking about it, it just doesn't function the same way. And for you, throughout the whole process?
I feel like for me, I try to maintain the same routine I had in college. My same warm up, kept the same thing I've been doing from 2018, 2017. Those are like years back before, and try to incorporate that into my warm ups now. Some things I include more of my warm up, like core stuff. I know after having a child where I need a little bit more in that core area to keep everything on and need to get so I work with horsemen.
I can see you doing this with your pushing your child out of the picture. You've got that to deal with now. That's new.
Hey, you're not gonna let Jada come on camera.
And this is the reason why I train so much. She's around. It's crazy because back in 2022, when I just started to finally had my baby back, but I didn't have time to train as much. And she was a baby. I had to keep her in the car, keep her in her car seat, run the parking lot. I never really had truly time to go to the gym. I tried to do what I can because I was working and being a parent full time.
Tara, you can attest to that, to what it's like to kind of running around with the little one and also just being there for your athletes and then also being there for the push athletes. So how's it been now to kind of like, I've met Kyler full on and he's an adult at the moment, but there's still times that you kind of have to help him through things. How's it for you having an older athlete also and also balancing out being a mom?
Well, I think that nothing prepares you for the load. My work, as you know, because I'm a nerd and I talk science all the time, relates to load and load management. Just quick detour, because this always is like my pet peeve. I can't do this anymore because at 22 I could do this, but now I'm 33. Partly true, but the big thing that I just want to say again is that the loads you carry physiologically is so much different because you have these responsibilities, like that girl crying, like crawling on you right now, Jasmine. She's literally in your hair. You've got, a whole bunch of other responsibilities that you never had at 22, where you could focus on your training. You've got to pay a mortgage. You've got to manage a family. You've got to do all those things. And that has a physiological cost. So you can't train the same way. You can't handle the same things. Instead of blaming your old self, it's kind of like the old self is more about you carry a whole pile, like I know you do, Coop. So just quick caveat, training does have to look different. Other episode, got it. We'll talk about that in another episode. But that's part of it. But it has to be thought of as like, this is a whole other thing. It's like I've already done 3 workouts this week and I haven't done a workout because you're dealing with all this other stuff. So that is a factor. For me in career, like it always feels like I can only give about 15% of my thought to actually what it is that I want to do. So there's it's not that I don't want to be a mom, I absolutely do, but there's this pull all the time. Like, do you feel selfish, like having aspirations that are for yourself? I can't figure that out. And then paradoxically, I developed my whole career is about helping people get on podiums. So I'm helping them figure out like, hey, honoring who you are is really, really important. And you have to be you. Or if you forsake that at all, there's it never goes well. It absolutely doesn't. We all know that. But then for some reason, when you're in the mom hat, wearing the mom hat, it always feels like you're not allowed to be selfish. And I don't know what that is. And I don't want my son to carry that burden. And I don't want anyone to be spoiled rotten thinking that I have to drop everything for them. But there's a battle that goes on in your head about what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, at least for me. So I figure I end up working 10 times longer than I should because I'm trying to deal with the personal stuff before I can get to kind of my work. So I am the last person that has this really figured out, but I'm devoted to because I know it's such a big deal for aging athletes, especially honoring yourself while having a family, do they have to be mutually exclusive? I don't think so, but I don't have those answers. What do you think, Jasmine? Do you feel like that poll?
Oh my goodness. I feel that like so much, especially feeling that selfish part. I think that means more to my reason of, when I that retirement, I want her to have more of a life where right now I feel like it's focused on me, it's focused on my training, and right now she's going to school and everything. I want to get her to sports. Enjoy the tour. She's with my mom back in Pennsylvania, so then there's time away as well. Whereas that's about 4 to 6 months. I don't really have contact with her, and my mom doing shifts and everything and trying to deal with her and having to go to another separate school. So it kind of makes me a way where I want to give her everything that she wants and needs, but at the same time, hard doing this important balance of both of the best world.
Is it, but can you, like, how do we help out the Olympic athletes that are going through that same exact thing, right? Because I mean, being there for the short period of time that I was there, and just like learning about how much revenue you guys actually make, when you guys are on tour, when you guys are on a national team and all that stuff, like, and I understand that, even for my sport of football, there are big contracts, right? But there are sacrifices you have to make at home and everything like that with who can travel with you and all that stuff. But there is a little bit more wiggle room with it because in the National Football League, there's more money. Same with the NBA. But why is it that our Olympic athletes aren't being compensated the way they should be compensated? And you guys don't have to answer this in a way that's going to negatively affect you guys at all. But for me, being on the outside looking in and kind of getting the invite back to go to development camp, I know for myself the reason why it's such a hard thing to say yes to is that financial burden. Because how am I supposed to support myself, even if you make it in the first year of making, even to the national team, making $700 a month from October to March. And after that, you're not going to really make that much money. Then you got to think of sponsorships or GoFundMe's or fundraisers to do while I'm trying to compete at my highest level, but I've got rent to pay back home. And also being a parent that has to pay child support every month, right? Then you also have bills that are stacking up. And then you want me to just be able to live in a dorm, eat whatever food is given to me at the dorm. Maybe one night I want to go out and eat on my own. I've got to now budget that out in a way that maybe it's not going to be the best meal I can get out there. So how do we help you guys, right? Like, how do we make it to where Jasmine or to where Jada can come with you? Right? How do we make it to where you don't feel guilty or selfish that you're doing something not only for yourself, but you're competing for a nation, right? Like you're not, like we're not, I don't know what it is, but for me, I think, yes, NFL is a very high level, right? It's probably the highest level of football. But because football is not in the Olympics, I think of the Olympics as a stage that like is so far beyond, like the highest of all athletes are at the Olympics. That's just in my mind. So why aren't they being taken care of?
That's
Oof.
a
I feel like
big fat question.
It bothers me because like ever since I've left a rookie camp, right, it has been knocking my brain to figure out why it is that, I mean, I know some other countries maybe pay a little bit more for a gold medal, but we're talking about if you win a gold medal, you get $35,000. I don't even know what it was for silver or bronze, right? Because I didn't even care about that. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to win gold. But 35,000, and you got prize money for every race that you go to and stuff. But we're talking about like you've got to win, and I don't have any problem with competing to be able to win. But there's also got to be there are players in the NFL. I wanted you guys to know that like didn't win a single game last season and still collected checks. Like, but we go out and 4 years, every 4 years or every 4 years you go out and compete for your country, and everybody's so patriotic during that time, right? Everybody, go USA, go Canada, go Japan. Like everybody loves their country then. But when you come to hear the struggles of the athletes, ain't nobody willing to step forward and say, hey, we need to fix this and we need to get them paid. So like, I just want to know like how, right? Because you guys have been in it. You guys have seen it, right? You guys are on the forefront. I'm just a guy that came in from the outside and saw it and was like, oh, hell no, like this got to change. So how can we help that change? And what are some like kind of calls to action that could start getting the ball rolling?
Well, exactly. I can just sort of say initially, like in Canada, and I was leader of the Canadian team, like in terms of the past president during a difficult time to try to help athletes out of what was a pretty awful time. And a big part of what was awful was that they didn't have the resources they needed to do exactly that, like to be training in a healthy, safe way, to have that sort of support. They were living on top of each other and maybe unhealthy living situations. They were out trying to find all those sponsors and whatnot. And I know that like our country is struggling, has been struggling financially to support sports that way. I'm a part of trying to be a part of the solution, but it gnawed at me. It felt morally bankrupting, to be honest, every day that I went to try to work on this project to say, like, how do we get athletes in a safe environment and safe sport? That came down to programming quality, but how do you have good programs when you can't afford to pay people well to coach, and then the athletes are pay to play? So they're paying to do this and to pursue their sport, and they don't have that kind of support. Like it left people with very little support at the end of the day. And me as a sport physiologist trying to come up with programming and support and understand what's limiting their potential, every day I was like, this is madness. It's this that's limiting. Like, we can't get proper training in. This is a constant worry for people. They're not able to even undertake the training to their full capacity because they're carrying this massive amount of stress-wise worrying about this. So it just felt like you're going around in a mad circle trying to figure out, like, how do you make this happen? And then you're in a high-risk sport. How many G's are you pulling on a corner? 5 G's. You're going up to like 160 kilometers an hour. Like, that takes it takes a toll, like a massive toll on the body, even just preparing for that. So you've got to be really strong and resilient and have your wits about you. And so I don't have an answer. At the same time, I know like how much the athletes need the sports. A lot of the athletes that are in our program are, they're not done with sport. They want it, and it gives them an incredible source of community and like health. Maybe they wouldn't be in a good place in any way if they weren't doing the sport. So it's an actual place of refuge. So they need it. It's a healthy pursuit. It helps bring awareness to so many people around. And some of the athletes have incredible platforms on mental health. They do a lot of great things for the community. Inspires lots of kids to continue to pursue sport. Like, there's so many wonderful things that come out of sport, but yet it's not subsidized enough to make it safe. And so I still don't have answers, and I'm part of the organization advocating for this and trying to find solutions. And everybody in Canada right now is suffering from an extreme lack of funding overall. And I know at USA Bobsled, it's not a whole pile better. It's come down to messages like, well, why should people fund someone going after their dream? Like, I have a dream. I want to be a ballerina. No one's paying for me. Like, there's thoughts like that, words like that come out, like arguments like that. There's cancer out there. There's people that need housing. So why would we spend our money on an athlete doing this? But yet they'll spend money on pro sport. So I don't really know. It needs to be reframed, a whole reframing of what sport does for people. I think it's going to take a whole different rethinking. And why is pro sport different than Olympic sport? Like, what's the difference there? Like, why not put the same amount of value and interest into that if you're willing to spend that much money on football, basketball, those types of things? I don't know. But that's the argument I've heard. We have other priorities. We can't fund people's dreams. Well, then why are you spending so much money on, pro sport? I don't know. See, it's mad making. So I don't know. In the meantime, you've got to try to figure this out, and people are excited to be there and stand there in your corner when you're doing it, but they're not maybe willing to cough up the money when it counts. And I don't know why that is. And I don't want to be judgmental. It puts me in a tough position, but at the end of the day, I go back to, there's a safety issue involved. If you don't have enough resources to do this sport or any sport, like, you are putting yourself at a lot of risk to do it. You need all the help you can get to be safe. So at the very least, what are the things that you need to do that? Safe, affordable housing, good food, access to great training resources, support with your family, to manage all the other things that you're dealing with. Like, I think we need to make sure that that's happening, in your national sport organization needs to make sure that that's a possibility there. I've said that. I don't know what else to say without getting myself mad and then starting to say things I probably shouldn't say. So I'll let Jasmine and you guys talk and see how you manage it. Like, Jasmine, how are you doing this?
Oh, you said so many good points, especially like for example, like, if you come to the sport, you can either start the GoFundMe or different fundraising opportunities, or you can do WCAT. So it kind of forces people in the corner to try to make that type of decision. I know for me, personally, I always had, in the wanting to join the military, so I ended up going that WCAT route to help me focus on bobsledding as well as obtaining a career in the sense even after. But it definitely makes you wonder, like, how to even have more funding opportunity. And with bobsled being so niche and donor sponsors that want to put their funds into other avenues. It makes it tougher for us. Well, we're trying to make that type of more elite, like the pros, but I guess the way they see our sport is in like a different type of light, since it's not really heard of that much unless it's that actual Olympic time when everyone does want to be patriotic. So it's it's honestly a tough scenario of which avenue to go to, and kind of forcing people into that type of corner. It's just a lot. It's tough. It's hard.
It's hard because it's almost like, you look at NFL, you look at NBA, you look at MLB, right? Like, and those are male dominated sports, right? It almost feels like it's like the side of like the WNBA where they're trying to argue for equal pay. And you're just sitting here and you're like, man, like this is a sport that's got males and females. It's in the Olympics and it also has very high level athletes doing it. And they're sitting here just even arguing to get some type of pay. And then like hearing from Tara, like talking about like the government saying no, because like, what about people that are like going through cancer, people that are not don't have housing, or like our military coming back and stuff. And it's like, well, they ain't even been taken care of. So what is your argument? So it's like you talk about like, homeless people, like they need to find housing. We ain't put them in no housing. You talk about cancer. I don't even want to get started on the cancer thing because like I lost my dad to cancer. Y'all done probably already found a cure for cancer or out there. And then you talk about like veterans coming back home and being taken care of. Half of them still homeless, so they go to homeless problem again. What are we actually doing with the money? And that comes down to a whole different topic where it's like, yeah, the rich want to stay rich, but how do we allocate the money out? And then I think of like ideas of, so college sports right now just has a huge deal with NILs. How can that be set up for the Olympic athletes, right? There should be a way to do that to where they're not the ones going out doing this crowdfunding. Like y'all's performance speaks for itself. Like how you guys go out there and perform should be, on top of that, like I'll say it because my family is all military. I ain't serving the country just to be able to go out and do a sport that I love. It ain't gonna happen. Y'all ain't signing away no years of my life. Just so I could go out there and get a pay. No, not happening. So military don't even come knocking at my door if I ever decide to do this. It's just, why do you have to sacrifice other parts of your life to do something that you love to do or be able to perform at a high level? Like it shouldn't. I understand. Like this is coming from a former athlete. Like I understand that you must sacrifice some things, but the livelihood of yourself, like how you show up every day, and the cortisol levels and the stress and everything that you had to deal with, that shouldn't be something that you guys are worrying about, right? You shouldn't be worrying about like how am I going to pay bills, right? Like how am I going to put food on the table? Like what am I going to do with Jada while I'm in season? Like that shouldn't be something that you're concerned about, right? Even though that's part of your life. Like that should be like simple fixes. Like there should be ways that's all handled, and it shouldn't be a financial burden on you either. So my biggest thing would be, man, how do we start getting NIL deals set up for you guys? How do we start getting more sponsors and more outreach, knowing about bobsledding? Because I mean, I didn't know anything about bobsledding until I met Tara. Well, really, I knew about it. I knew about Cool Runnings, right? And I wanted to, since I'm a dual citizen, I was like, well, shoot, I live in Antigua at the moment. Like, I can set up Cool Runnings down here. Like, we'll be the next bobsled team. Knowing how that's going to work and knowing how the funding goes already, that ain't happening for me. But how can we set something up? Like, have you guys thought about, what should be something that helps push bobsledding and push sports, skeleton, luge, these different sports that aren't getting enough money into them? How can we do that?
I almost want to say like rebranding in a sense, or just putting ourselves more out there. Like social media is really big. Like the way the generation is towards AI, and I almost want to say trying to incorporate more like Instagram real or just different types of topics or whatever's trending or trending audios. Try to get seen since almost everyone is at least on some type of social media platform.
Jasmine, can I ask you, like, sort of why are you doing this? I guess, like, what keeps you going? And I guess, what is your pitch to sponsors about kind of like why you?
Oh, that's a great question, because we're always told of telling our story and our why. Because I feel like my why is that I have to like get there in a sense where I tried before, and having I didn't stop me from my athletic career. So I feel like that's not why I'm proving that I can do both. I can be the mother and I can be the top athlete that I know I can do. So I think that's my biggest motivator of knowing that I can go out there, still compete, still be the number one mom to my child.
So you're not done with sport, like you just have a
She's
burning
asking me
desire.
Oh no, she's not done.
Yeah.
I saw Jasmine push. She not done.
You still have that fire. You're not done with your like post track. You're like, so you just still have that fire and you want to keep going with it. And is your family supportive?
My biggest supporter is my mom. She definitely comes and helps me with this crazy challenge because she knows how important it is to get out there, have my focus on, and she knows that I need like the main recovery, my sleep, because this child definitely impacts my sleep a lot. So even before this Sam's coming up, she's taking time out of her week, off her days from work to come up here and help me because she knows that okay, this is like the goal that I have. This is the path that I want to go. So I would definitely shout out my mom.
And what do you do? Like, what do you tell others that want to be like you? Like, why do you love it? What has it taught you?
It's just the way to you just go out there and compete against other people, especially when they're at their best. I don't know if it's like an ego thing. It might be. And just showing, just being that competitor and just having that drive and knowing how everyone else is trying to go for the same spot. And it makes it fun. It makes the competition fun. It makes you just want to go out there and let that adrenaline rush to keep doing it over and over again. So that's why I feel like you really have to love this sport in order to do it. Child.
So then what's the goal this year for yourself and your sled?
Oof, my goal this year, I want to win champs again. That is definitely my goal. Win push champs have a certain time. So last season I went, my cousin was 5:59. So I'm looking for 5:52, if that's possible. I have a faster 30 time and be able to have those qualities in order to push fast even during the World Cup. So being able to go out there, get into the World Cup, we finished top 6, top 3 in all my races and get into the World Cup, the World Olympics.
And how are you funding yourself? Like, how have you been able to fund yourself in the past?
Oof, in the past, I had a GoFundMe originally where I was able to kind of raise different donations. At the time, the pilots I was with were willing to help me where they'll say, get your flight, you can handle housing, lodging, everything, the foods. We were able to work out different ways to make it more accommodating, especially if they really want their sledge. The first time I went to Europe back in 2020 to do like bring some different trainings, I took it as like an opportunity where I begged my mom and stepped down for plane ticket. I felt like in order to do this, have more experience under my belt, the more I could make a national team and actually become a funded athlete.
And when you're doing those things, I guess we're talking about this all the time right now. It's kind of in our federation, like our sport organization, just kind of like opportunities for athletes to give back. And so what's the big why around sponsoring athletes from this team or sponsoring the team? Like what would they give a sponsor? What kind of work could you do for a sponsor to, I guess part of it is, well, sponsors want something in return, like an experience or a spokesperson for their brand, like how this helps, or, something philanthropic to give to show that like the athletes are doing all this hard work, but what is the benefit to the community? What's the benefit to the sponsor? What's the awareness that could be raised about why sport is important? Those are the things, I guess, to the earlier questions Coop had around how do we get funding. I guess it's justification for why do this? Why do athletes do it? Why do they need it? And what would they be doing if they didn't have it? And what's the benefit to the community? Like, what I think that's kind of a big question we're exploring in Canada is, okay, so you say education is important. Well, sport's important. It teaches you leadership and discipline and accountability, and all the stats around athletes that do sport end up being the percentage of them that transfer into high performing executives. There's lots and lots of ways that the sport experience has taught people to be lessons that are you can't get anywhere else or very difficult to get. So it's kind of repositioning the sport journey as something that's a necessity. A lot of places in Europe say sport is a necessity. They fund it fully because they know how important it is to the growth and development of kids plus and active for life, and also offsetting the burden on the healthcare system if people are healthy, well, and fit and are actively pursuing their fitness goals, let alone the lessons that teaches them. So it's repositioning the sport journey to be something that is really meaningful and showing how it offloads the medical system if people are looking after themselves, how it gives people opportunities to, all the wonderful things about bringing sport to underprivileged countries and teaching them about fitness and what teamwork teaches. There's so many wonderful things about it that we know that have been overshadowed by some of the more recent, I guess, exposure of the safe sport issues that have gone on with it. But it's kind of giving sport a new life and repositioning it in the framework of priorities that a country would have is what I see and what we're trying to, we're trying to work on here so that people want to invest in it again and trust it. So I don't know if anyone's helping you with your own personal sponsorship messaging, or why you versus Sally over there or anybody else, like why invest in you and then why invest in the sport. Like, I don't know if anybody helps you with that, but I would say that's a really important piece is let's re-message this. Do you guys agree that?
Right.
Ain't nobody helping them.
Who were you about to say?
I said, ain't nobody helping y'all.
Yeah, it really comes down to like just us as teammates. So, for example, Mystique Rowe, he's on a skeleton team. She's really good at starting to like brand herself, and she's been telling me that I need to do better and brand myself as well as like doing more speaking engagements, trying to get myself out there. So I'm starting to work my way up there because I'm kind of shy in that sense. But starting local, I'm starting being like a volunteering opportunities with like different people in the area for the Humane Society here in New York that I want to go out there and help with whatever they got going on or fundraisers. Starting to at least put my name out there, but definitely Mystique is the go-to person, at least pushing me of, have you reached out to this person, or you drink ocean spray juice all the time, have you reached out to ocean spray, and just different stuff, with having a child, maybe a Honda, you have a Honda, you need a Honda SUV, where's child you have, so just different things I need to do.
I think it's super important that you get your story out there because, like you said, you're going for the 3-time push championship.
So this was my first time winning, and then before that I was second, down first.
So you're going for your second one in a row, and you're about to fight for a spot on the Olympic team, while being a mom, while being part of the military, and doing all of this on top of it. And you don't think you have a story that somebody out there wants to hear?
You have a huge
I know. I
story.
was thinking better.
Right. Being a former track athlete at a Division I level, right, coming out of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
You're living in Lake Placid now.
Yes.
You're going to serve the country after you're done because you have to with the Air Force. There's something in there to be said, and there's a story to be told, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at here for you is that like you have an impressive story and you're doing a lot of amazing things. Even a little one can see it. Why do you think she's trying to get on camera so much? Because she loves mom, all right? Because mom has done some really, really impressive things. And there's a reason why people have been in your corner and telling you to push out your stories because what you're doing is phenomenal. And I think that you need to push it out there so more people can hear. But that's your pitch right there, right? Like you're gonna encourage the next little girl that comes around that maybe doesn't make it pro in track, or maybe they don't make it pro in volleyball. They have a second sport to go to, right? They can go to bobsledding, right? And they can be a phenomenal athlete and compete at the highest level and get a chance to compete for their country, even if they do run into a road bump to where they do. And I wouldn't even say it's a road bump. It's a part of life that they have a kid, right? That they bounce back and they find a way to keep going. So I'm not going to tell your full story because now you got to tell it yourself.
Yeah.
But I think you have an awesome opportunity to go out there and show who you are.
But do you know when I
Man, sound really good.
So Jasmine, like that, this is where I get to plug science, but I study the science of performance and all the things that affect it. And the fact that you can perform at that high of a level and manage all that what Coop just says is phenomenal. So my job is to figure out how to do that so that you can still run fast despite, say you had 12 kids sitting there with you and all the different things that you are trying to do. Like, how do you do that? And it is really freaking hard. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of nuance to be able to manage that. So the fact that you have all that going on and still can run that fast, push that hard, and navigate all the pressures of national team and that Olympic run is enormous. And that is hugely inspirational for people that don't believe that they have anything left to give in spite of all the obstacles that they have. So that's a massive, massive story. And I know from a training perspective, it's incredibly difficult to navigate. So the fact that you're doing that and how you're doing that, what that looks like is something that needs to be bottled and sold somehow with some support. And I think that's something that, we're looking at ways to help other athletes is to sort of profile that. Like, how do you do that? There's people out there saying, I can't get out for a walk every day. Well, look what you're doing. Look what you're managing to figure out. Like, how are you doing that? and then, and profiling that. There's a docuseries coming out in Canada, January. We just filmed it. I didn't film it, but our organization, it's like a Drive to Survive, but it's about bobsleigh. It's called Redemption Run. We just screened, our board just screened the first episode this week, and showing like the journey of one new brake woman that's paired with one of our Canada One sleds, and her first run down Whistler. And it was harrowing to see how bad her head was shaking and how she got out of that sled and what she looked like. And just kind of like behind the scenes of that journey was like for her to be on this team, and why would she even bother coming back? Because most people will like go through down Whistler. That's their first time ever going down a track. You know how nasty Whistler is. Most people just be like, yeah, I'm out. Bye.
This was one of Jazz's favorite
They get out
places.
of this sled and they start running the opposite direction. So the ones that keep going have found a way to be like, there's something about this that I have to conquer. It's about conquering inner giants. And so this docuseries is profiling the journeys of people that keep going. Meaning, there's a handful of our athletes, our pilots on the men's side are well into their 30s, like well past, they're approaching 40, some of them, and they just want to keep doing it because it's like a beast that needs to be tamed, and it keeps them going. And it's taught them so many ways about to be resilient and gritty and find solutions for some of their difficult financial issues or other. They're always seeking to be better and figure it out. And that inspires me hugely every day to help them figure it out. Like, that's why I do what I do. And it's, I'm not, it's not easy work, and there's not a lot of funding for folks like me, but that's like, I can't but want to help them figure this out, because I know what obstacles they're trying to face. So if there's a way to shine more light on your stories and show how you're doing it, that it does need to be bottled and sold and used to help other people figure this out for themselves. I can say that I don't know how to do that, but if it's like, this is a platform, Coop, to continue to tell these stories, you definitely have an incredible gift for, connecting people and seeing through all the stuff. You see through, you ask the questions that nobody wants to ask. You get it right away. Like, why are you doing this? Why does it cost this? Or you get right to the heart of it really, really quickly. There's something to leverage here.
I'm just here. I'm here for the people.
So Jasmine, I guess it's like you
But
asking,
I
willing
know
to
for
ask for
sure
help.
that I'm always willing to ask for help. I'm always willing to find a way to help the athletes out, because I know what it's like to feel like your back's against the wall and all you can do is swing, right? And then nobody else is in your corner. So for me, it's always going to be about how can I help the athlete? And I know we all get into this saying athlete first when we start our coaching journey. And then when you're still an athlete, you're kind of still looking for that help, right? You're hoping that your coaches always have your best interest. And it doesn't always end that way. But for me, I always kind of keep that first, is that, I was always an athlete that, wanted the best for myself and wanted the best for whoever was around me. I keep that same mindset as a coach, and as the same mindset as I do this podcast, right? Is how can we help athletes not only in their journey that they're going through as athletes, but afterwards, because there's a whole nother side once we're done and we hang it all up. So Jazz, keep riding it out until you can, right? Don't hang up the spikes early, because then you end up like me. You keep trying to find something else to do. But no, I want to say that I'm proud of you, and I want to say thank you so much for your time today. And I don't want to take up any more time from you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for this opportunity, allowing me to share my story, putting myself more out there. This is my first podcast ever. I've never had. So I'm definitely thankful for that, and making these connections as well.
Well, if there's any possible way, like, just because this is the journey to figure this out, it's my career. I've done this, been involved for almost just over 30 years in performance sport, and, married into pro sport, understand the family dimensions and the whole other hoopla that goes on with like money and contracts and the pressures of that. And we just, I think between Coop and I have connected, and because we just really, really want to find a way to help more people understand A, the journey, and B, the pitfalls of it, and see like what happens with retirement and how we can help people have more healthy, productive lives and leverage their sport journey in a more meaningful way. And so if you ever want to talk about it, have ideas about it or whatever, like, honestly, like, it's going to take a bit of a village to tackle some of these issues and find ways to help. So awesome to meet you, and all the very best with your journey to the Olympics. I'll be watching.
Thank you.
Same here, and we're out.